Hello and welcome to SkaredCast, today with the new Dark Eldar Codex, talking about HQs. This is the first in a series of Tactica videos, touching on the new choices for the Dark Eldar army. The first choice unit for the day is our Dark Eldar Archon. Let's begin. As always, I will first talk to you as a beginner and talk a little bit about the Archons themselves, and then we shall chat about the deep Tactica of the Archon for those who have experience with the true Dark Eldar race. Hello, and welcome to this, the first of our Dark Eldar Tactica series. Today we will be looking at the new Dark Eldar Codex. That's right, and the object of our discussion will be the new Dark Eldar Archon. So the video will be in two parts. First, I will chat about what an Archon is, for those who have not played Dark Eldar before. Then I will go into a more intense and structured Tactica on different combinations, war gear and whatnot that the Archon who has already used an Archon can use to better your game. By the way, the book is beautiful. If you have not seen my unboxing video, I suggest you do, because there's more in it than you might think at first, as it is wont to happen. So all the unit options in the Dark Eldar book are arranged in a series of data slates. So each entry is a one-page entry with a point cost that will then lead you to its options in general. This is the Archon, and we shall begin. So for you, fledgling Dark Eldar players, you're the probably person who heard it's a new release, just walked into your local hobby shop, picked up the book, opened it, and this is what you receive. The Archons are the masters of the Dark Eldar cabals. They are regal and monstrous in equal measure. Each wields the power to enslave worlds and destroy civilizations. Their might has not been easily won. To rise to the lofty pinnacles of power in Comorra requires indisputable warrior skill, a lethal aptitude for politicking, and a will of unbreakable iron. The game of intrigue at the heart of the Dark City is sometimes known as the Thelian or Path of Shards. We shall stick to that one. It is savage and unforgiving, and only those possessed of true genius survive it long enough to claw their way to the top. Those that do then have to defend their status and their selves forever after. Archons themselves are just a generic HQ in the Dark Eldar book. So, stats-wise, an Archon rivals any single miniature in the game with a very high weapon skill of 7 and ballistic skill of the same. Both the strength and toughness are humanoid strength and toughness of 3. Basic wounds for the game of Warhammer 40,000 in terms of a single miniature with 3 wounds. A very, very high Demon Prince-like initiative of 7. 4 attacks, that's not including any close combat weapons or anything like that. So quite a lot of attacks in terms of a single model, and a very top leadership of 10, but only a Cabalite armor. which is very low armor, or generic armor for a model. War gear, they have the armor, they just have a splinter pistol and a close combat weapon. They do come equipped with plasma grenades, which gives them offensive grenades, and it is a weapon that you can throw, do remember that. 8 inches, small blast, strength 4, AP 4, so that's a weapon in and of itself. He is fleet, he is an independent character, or she, because they are both male and female. He has night vision and has power from pain, which is a bonus that most Dark Eldar models gain that is army-wide. Now, as a fledgling Archon, you look at the Archon and you see high stat lines. That's great. An Archon 1-to-1 in a one-on-one fight will really hurt most things. But where the Archon becomes masterful is in the use of his war gear. So, as a starting out Dark Eldar player, if you were to go for an Archon, I would highly consider, as a base, a Shadow Field. Shadow Field provides a 2+ invulnerable save to the Archon until he suffers an unsaved wound. This is very specific, an unsaved wound, and then in any phase that he suffers an unsaved wound, the Shadow Field will work until the end of that phase, and then it's done. This means an Archon is very, very tough to take out if you can roll a 2 or more. So he's kind of like a Terminator, but just be careful, because that one failed save could usually mean his death and destruction in terms of he's only toughness 3. So don't throw him out up front as often as you should, unless you have a Farseer to give him fortune and re-roll that 2+ save. But that's more of the tactics that you can think of later. Now, he can have a Husk Blade instead of a close combat weapon for a moderate point cost. He can replace a Splinter Pistol with either a Blast Pistol or a Blaster for, about the same points as anything else in the army, and can take items from melee, arcane war gear, artifacts of cruelty, and a cool little thing to note here is he can take a Venom by himself. A Venom is a dedicated transport, small little tank that can shoot a lot. So if you just want him running around as a Venom, or just want to take an extra Venom without having to use another Force Organization slot to take one, take an HQ Venom and have another 12 shots. The Archon doesn't even have to go in it. You know, put him in a different unit and run the Venom by itself, or have the Venom pick up a different unit. Just a couple of things to note. He's good in combat, he's good at shooting. So regardless of which way you want to go for him, right, the key is in the war gear. So make sure you read through the war gear list and really see the different things that you think would be fun and would fit in with the list that you would like to play. Now the next part of the video is more for the Archon, the players who've already played with Dark Eldar, who know a couple of differences and nuances with the Dark Eldar book. So, this is where it starts to get interesting. If you had played with Dark Eldar before, first of all, the Shadow Field has changed. It has physically changed, and I love the change because the pudding is in the wording of the rule. So, I will go to the Shadow Field here, if I can find it, of course, because I have to kind of squeeze through this. So, the Shadow Field confers a 2+ invulnerable save. The Shadow Field save is lost for the rest of the battle at the end of any phase in which the model suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds. Countless times I've had good opponents fire bolters or bolt guns or las guns or something small at my Archon to force a lot of saves and force him to fail his Shadow Field save. And then shoot him with a las cannon or an auto cannon, then kill him outright. This is no longer the case. It just isn't. If they shoot small weapon fire at your Archon, hey, guess what? You don't have to roll one save at a time now. You just have to roll everything at once. Okay, that's hit or miss as well. But it's for any any unsaved wound. So with power from pain, or with anything that gives you feel no pain, you save the wound, boom, shadow field starts working again. And keep that in mind. That's for the entire game. So they can shoot bolters at you, and if you take a bolter wound, take a feel no pain wound, boom, saved. Hey, guess what? The shadow field still works. And then shoot last cannons at you or get you in combat, and the shadow field is fantastic. Another thing is in combat. If you're in combat and they hit you with a lot of low strength weapons or attacks to try and short out the shadow field, first of all, if they do, and you do take an unsaved wound, then the power fist at the end of the combat isn't going to instantly gib your Archon. It gives him another chance to come back, and that shadow field will work until the end of the phase, just increasing the survivability of that key model. That change alone makes Archons a lot more survivable than they used to be. And with the addition of Power from Pain, where turn 2 they get a 6+ feel no pain, turn 3 they get a 5+ feel no pain, then they get Furious Charge, then they get Rage, then they get Fearless, and then Rage. By turn 5 he's going to be Fearless. By turn 5 he's not running away from combat, he's sticking on an objective, he's going to fight it to the end. This brings the entirety of the Dark Eldar force together. So yes, each individual unit is important, but make sure you know how to use them within the book itself. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a few things that jumped out at me from the pages in the book in terms of the Dark Eldar Archon and war gear selection in and of itself. So we have things like, the standard Agonizer, we have different things like that. Sadly, he cannot take a Venom Blade anymore. I'm very, I'm kind of sad about that, because Venom Blades used to be really good. But you can take like a Power Sword. An Agonizer is a little bit more expensive than it used to be. He can potentially take Haywire Grenades. I always recommend Haywire Grenades because you never know when your Archon is going up against a tank or a walker and you need him to get out of there as quickly as possible. You can also give him a Phantasm Grenade Launcher, which is cheaper than it was before. A Soul Trap makes him stronger. Clone Field, it's not bad, it's okay. But you can only take one or the other. I'm a big fan of the Shadow Field. The Clone Field, yeah, it's a 4+ and whatnot, but the Shadow Field is where it's at. Okay, so a Homunculus can't take a Clone Field unless you're just checking something quick. So Shadow Field, yeah, that's the way it is. A little bit more expensive than it was last, but I believe it's 100 times better than it was before, and I highly recommend an Archon with a Shadow Field all the time. Never say never. Also gives you, you can always take the Artifacts of Cruelty, which is the Parasite's Kiss, the Armorer's Misery, the Animus Vitae, the Archangel of Pain, the Helm of Spite, the Dijin Blade. Personally, I like the Dijin Blade. Just run him into a bunch of Space Marines and watch them all die a horrible, hideous death with an Archon that has 4 attacks, 2 Cluscar weapons, charge, Dijin Blade. At a weapon skill 7. Yes, he's only strength 3, but whatever. If it's turn 3, you have Furious Charge. No, turn 4, you have Furious Charge. Boom. Just use that to your advantage. Sadly, you can't take combat drugs anymore. Bit of a bummer, that, really. I really enjoyed the combat drugs on my Archons. But, you know what? We live, we learn. A couple of different things I've been thinking of. The Webway Portal. The Webway Portal. Oh wow, amazing piece of gear. This just opens up a whole plethora of tactical options when you take an Archon. So Archon, Shadow Field, say Dijin Blade, yeah, expensive, whatever, power weapon, give him whatever you want. He's got plasma grenades, give him a Webway Portal. And then have 2 or 3 different units within your army that you would be okay with him joining. And then that would create different tactical options for you in-game. So if you have allies, like Eldar for example, Webway Portal, Wraith Guard. Instantly deep strike unit of Wraith Guard, without scattering, wherever you need them. Boom, Flamer templates everywhere. Combine that with the Court of the Archon. Combine that with a huge unit of Kabalite Warriors. Combine that with mandrakes if you really want to, because mandrakes are good now. Combine that with Scourge. Combine that with Blasterborn. Combine that with a Raider or a Venom with stuff in it. Combine that with a Beast Pack or Grotesques. Anything. A web-based portal gives you unlimited tactical options, which really is what the Dark Eldar is all about. It's about playing the game that your opponent doesn't want you to play. So you have to be able to use that. And an Archon provides those tactical options. Got a plethora of different abilities and different war gear he can pick and choose. Quick little idea that came to my head was an Archon with a webway portal, a Phantasm grenade launcher which causes a unit to take leadership tests of hit, and they take a number of wounds equal to, it's like a psychic shriek without the psychicness of it at all. And unless it's, and they shall know no fear. But combine that with the armor that gives -2 leadership to everybody within 6 inches, and then put him in a unit with a model that can take another Phantasm grenade launcher, and then have a Raider with a Tormentor grenade launcher, and all of a sudden you have potential of -2 leadership, and then 3 different weapons that will cause a leadership test that will remove models with no saves of any kind allowed. Just lift models off the table. Great against hordes, great against low leadership armies, great against everything. All of a sudden, boom, done. So it's very interesting to take note of things like that. And with the webway portal, for example, you can put them within 6 inches of your opponent and you don't scatter. So an Archon is a good tool character. You can kind of fit him to any sort of particular role, even give him, say, a blaster, and run him with some Blasterborn in a Raider with a lance. And all of a sudden you have, boom, a lance and say 2 dark lances. So you have 4 blasters, 2 dark lances, that's 6 weapons, plus the blaster from the Archon, that's 7 lance weapons, and a lance, 8 lance weapons in one little unit. With a webway portal, deep strike it and shoot anything you want nearby. Just really keep those options open. So that's all I have about the Dark Eldar Archon. So what do you think? Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know what you think in terms of the Archon and the different things that he should be used for. And I appreciate you guys watching the video. I will be doing other tactical videos like this as the week progresses on every single unit in the Dark Eldar book. So I appreciate your comments. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I also have a blog, Instagram feed, Twitter feed, Facebook page, all that stuff. So if you're big into the Dark Eldar, you'd like to know more, let me know. I'd love to help you out. You can also send me an email, that sort of thing. Thanks a lot. This is Skari, your grateful host. Appreciate it. And this is Skari once again, saying from the webway, Skari out.